Man, I just got a question. So we know it's Brian Kelly year 3, right? And if you study Brian Kelly, you know this. You know that he's going to have elite tight end play. He's going to have an elite offense. And he's going to have guys drafted to the NFL from both those positions. They're going to be elite. And they're going to perform well, and they're going to perform at a high level early on in the season. That's how he's tracked in the past. That's how he's probably going to track now. He's got a super lined up offensive line. So what is USC's answer to when these guys start running the football and bootlegging to the tight end? What are you guys going to do to stop the run? What are you guys going to do to stop the Campbells, the Emory Jones, the Garrett Dellingers on the offensive line? When we stuff it down the throat with Josh Williams, Caleb Jackson, John Emory Jr., what is the answer to the run game, and how are you going to block this crazy good tight end group?
I think they're to put guys in a box, and I think that we got the corners to try to cover and match you guys up on the outside. And I think we're going to make you guys run into a heavy box. I think I think as far, you guys have a really tall, right? How tall is your tight end? 6'7", 6'6"?
6'7", yeah.
Okay, so we got this guy. He's our secret weapon. He's a very unusual linebacker and very athletic. And Eric Gentry is probably, I don't know. I don't want to see the matchups, and I have no idea on this, but I'll tell you what, I would really like to see what he could do in matching up with your tight ends. I think that might be a pretty good counter to that. But my answer is, and there's nothing special or even like out of the box about it. I think that they make Nussmeier try to win the game. I just think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to not let you guys use that offensive line to roll downhill. I think we were talking about how we are kind of happy with our defensive interior rotation. I think we're going to rotate some guys in the middle. I think they're trying to keep them fresh. And I think they're going to try to make Nussmeier win the game with his arm. Matt, what's your thoughts?
Well, in terms of the matchup between USC's defense and LSU's offense, I think the one thing that comes up for me is, this is a manhood moment for USC. How strong are the Trojans up front? Can they? I'm not, definitely not expecting them to outplay LSU's offensive line. Like, LSU's offensive line is going to win most of the battles. That's why I think it's going to be a high-scoring game on both sides. But, can they at least win their share of battles? Can they win third down battles? Third down defense is going to be huge for USC all season. It's definitely going to be huge in this game. But, a scheme is going to naturally draw a lot of interest, a lot of commentary. But for me, USC's strength and conditioning program has not been hitting the mark the first 2 years. And Lincoln Riley made a commitment to doing things differently, being bigger, being stronger. Alex Grinch favored a more finesse-oriented philosophy. So this game's going to be like the first test run for this bigger, more physical, more muscular style in terms of USC's strength and conditioning operation. USC strength up front has to manifest itself to enough, not going to outplay LSU, but can USC fight to a draw, or at least, not get blown out by the LSU offensive line? Can it manage that? It's just USC has to physically hold up. Some people will turn to scheme, and that's all well and good. And we could see after halftime the chess match really evolve. And USC under Clay Helton was an absolutely atrocious third quarter team. So there's a feeling at USC this year that you're going to see a much better third quarter team without Alex Grinch there to mess things up. But while scheme has its place, USC being physical enough to hang with LSU in the trenches, it starts there. Because if USC is not physical enough to hang, Danton Lynn could try any scheme he wants. It ain't going to matter if USC can't physically stand up to LSU. So that's where it starts, really.
And it's going to be a good challenge because, again, this is going to be possibly the best line we may face, really. And so it'll be a good early matchup. I know Michigan's kind of rebuilding, but with Sharon Moore, they're going to reload probably. But there's a very good chance that this early test for this defensive line is going to tell us. Well, that's why I said last week and the week before that, I said when people say, what's this team be like? We're all going to know early into that third quarter what this team is made of. I just think we are. I think we're going to have a really good idea of how the coaching staff is ready and the adjustments they're going to make. And do they have the depth on the lines in order to stay with LSU? And again, I think they do. I think they've made the upgrades that they need to make.
LSU, USC. How do y'all feel? Are y'all score prediction, anything like that?
Well, let's hear yours first. You jumped in. We'll give you ours right afterwards. How about that, Matt? Give me a second. I'm stalling, obviously, if you can't tell. I was going to wait, but I'll just give you a heads up. That line is moving towards SC. I think it's down to 4 or 4.5 now. So
it is. I think so. I think it is. Yeah. So look, my original score prediction was 51-28 LSU, but I can definitely see a close game. I'm not going to come on here and be all biased, be LSU, hoorah, whatever, because I like to look at this year for both teams as a prove-it year. And I think Lincoln Riley doesn't get enough credit for the job he's done at Oklahoma and even at USC. I think he's had a hard situation with USC, and I think it's a big prove-it year for him.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, were waiting to jump and bury Riley for whatever reason. That 2022 season, people got this thing twisted. They want to make it seem like he's regressing, that he's not a good coach all of a sudden because he had a 5-loss season last year. But the reality was he came into an absolute dumpster fire that Helton left as a very empty cupboard roster-wise, especially along the lines. And he with his coaching ability and the attraction to star players like Caleb Williams, bringing him in, was able to manufacture that 11-win season without a doubt in my mind. Overachieved, probably came a little bit down to earth. And I like how he put it. He said, people maybe got a little excited because we won some games we probably shouldn't have in that first year. And the ball bounced our way. And that's football. The ball bounces funny. And then in 2023, there were some games again, like that Utah game that bounced the other way, and they dropped a couple of games. And the caller was talking earlier about the Washington game. It's just the way football works. So I look the other way. I think what Riley has done coming in here and getting the momentum he's doing right now, he's doing a great job. Now, at some point, this is year 3. Obviously, we all know he hung on to Grinch too long. Year 3. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a big year for his staff on both sides of the ball. I know it's the first year for the defense, but anything's going to be better. Anything's better than we had last year. And if another season with a defense struggling, it's going to be difficult to keep the boo birds out. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that stands out to me for this game, right, is we are the exact same team. We are just y'all are in Southern California. We're in Baton Rouge. Brian Kelly was the exact same way in 2022. We beat Alabama. We won it. We went 9-3. We went to the SEC championship. Ended up losing that. But like you said, he won some games he probably should not have won in year 1. And he inherited a roster with 40, 50 guys and had to build it completely from the ground up. He got Jaden Daniels at the transfer portal, which proved to be the biggest get since Joe Burrow. And looking at last year, we were a defensive coordinator, a defensive staff away from a national championship. The talent composite on that team last year was no short of a national championship. And we're bringing that a lot, and we're bringing a lot of that back this year. So I'm very excited to see what this team looks like under Blake Baker from Missouri and to see what they look like. And another thing I'll say, y'all are a lot of the same way, a whole lot of talent. Just didn't have the right coach last year. I mean, y'all were worse than us, which I don't even know how that's even possible. How was that even? It's not even fathomable to me. I mean, we couldn't stop anybody.
We go big here. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Everything you say is great.
So score prediction.
Everything you said is great there. Really quick, I want to go track back really fast to that. You brought up bringing Jaden Daniels in. Talk about a reversal of fortunes for that young man at ASU. And moving over to, as much, again, I'm not gonna lie, it's just not about LSU.
Absolutely.
I've had this unhealthy relationship from my ideas about Brian Kelly for many years. It has nothing to do with LSU. It probably has nothing to do with the Irish. It was just strange because my mom went to Grand Valley State, so that gets even deeper. But I will tell you that what they did with Jaden Daniels and Denbrock, how much do you think that's gonna set you back? Tell me a little bit more about your offensive coordinator, because I literally know nothing about him.
So Joe Sloan was the quarterback's coach here at LSU with Jaden Daniels, and he was the one who kind of changed Jaden's trajectory in making him that second, should have been first overall pick, but very well could have been a first overall pick if Caleb Williams was not in the draft. And the way I look at it is we were going into last year questioning if Jaden Daniels should be the starter because he didn't show enough progression in that first year with us of downfield passing, how well he could throw the ball downfield. And that's really what we needed because we had elite receivers on either side. And we went into this year kind of doubting. I wouldn't say we because I was not one of those people. I was on that Jaden Daniels train the whole time. But a good part of LSU's fan base was doubting Jaden Daniels. And we went into this year doubting that, and he proved everybody completely wrong. I mean, you could not have been more wrong if you doubted Jaden Daniels. And it's only bettered us because we get Garrett Nussmeier back for a whole nother year. And we're able to use him this year just the way y'all are able to use y'all's veteran quarterback Miller Moss after sitting behind Caleb Williams. So I'm really excited to see what he's learned from Jaden Daniels and running the ball and also throwing the ball because Jaden Daniels has proven to be an elite quarterback when it comes to passing the ball now.
And one last question. So you're not just new on your offensive side of the ball with your coordinator. Your defensive, you talked about Baker, bringing in Baker from Missouri. And in conversations we've had with Matt Moscona and other people, there's some questions on the outside on your secondary, especially in corners position. And I've also heard that I can't remember where I read it, but basically Blake Baker does rely on his corners often in man, putting them on islands. And the fact that you guys are not necessarily young, but young sometimes, and also some guys that are unproven. How confident you guys are about your secondary in order to hold up and kind of replicate what he did at Missouri? Because his corners in Missouri were pretty damn good.
So look, we're unproven just like y'all are when it comes to cornerbacks, but I think they can prove themselves very quickly if they come out week 1 against USC and play well. I've had the privilege of being out at practice almost every single day as much as I can. I'm with the Jordy Collada show. I'm the intern there. So I have a press pass. I'm able to go to those practices. And I've seen what Matt Moscona and all these other media members have seen. Blake Baker's biggest thing is he dials up all this pressure, but it's disguised. It's bringing nickels on blitzes. It's bringing linebackers. It's rushing 4. And I think I see people's point when they say they leave the corners on islands, but I think communication among the safeties really can deter that pressure on the corners because I think our corners are good enough to handle one-on-ones. I think they do have the talent. Ashton Stamps has looked incredible this offseason. But I also think the safeties, when communicating, if we're in zone, I don't think it could be much of a problem, especially when you eliminate the big plays like Brian Kelly has said we've done this offseason.
Wow. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Great answer, because that's what plagued us. We put a lot on our corners, and there were a number of chunk plays. I mean, those explosives were coming just one after another. And the one thing I would say to you is what kind of made me a bit bullish as I go into my score prediction. You kind of dampen that a little, but I'm still going to stick with it. Is the fact that I think the strength of this team on the offense, at least early, it might be our wide receivers. And there's just talent for days out there. SC's kind of flying under the radar when we hear national people talking about the receivers, but they are a special group. So I'm going with my original prediction. My original prediction, what I originally had was I had 33-24 SC, but I'm now 33-27 SC.
Hey guys, I'm having trouble hearing y'all right now. Y'all are real spotty right now. It might be me, but I can't really hear y'all too well.
No, the other caller said the same thing. That's kind of weird. Well, I could put in the chat for you, or you could watch the replay. It'll be clear on the replay because I'm sure the audio on our side's clean. Might be through the phone lines, might be getting messed up on your end. But if you can hear me now, I said 33-27 Trojans. I think it's going to be a very tight game into the fourth quarter. Matt?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think USC's defense is going to get better over the course of the season. But going up against LSU's elite tackles and really strong offensive line, I think that USC just needs to keep LSU under 40 and hope that USC can torch the LSU secondary. Like I think it would be good for USC to get into a shootout here. Obviously, we want to see more from the defense, but I think that USC's passing game If it gets into a shootout with LSU, I think USC can win that kind of game. So I'm going with 41-35 USC.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I think the caller dropped because, yeah, there might be something going on with the phone lines. Apologize about that, guys. But you can always check the replay if you're curious about what our response was. So we got two. Did we get Christian's score?
He originally said 51-28, but I get the sense that he's narrowed it down. Maybe he's thinking now like 42-31, maybe something around there.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Christian, I threw down the gauntlet because I heard that that conversation from obviously a different outfit than where you're working, and so that was the title. But again, it never ceases to amaze me. I know in every fan base there's the village is always missing a couple, right? So that's usually what we see, what we hear. But again, just like Michigan, just like Ohio State, just like Oklahoma. There's great fans everywhere, and getting someone that's in the LSU media, that was special. Appreciate you calling in, Christian.